just moments before vows, he discovered a hidden truth that would change their lives forever. Jake stood beneath the flickering basement lights of the old church, heart pounding like a jackhammer. Everyone was upstairs, buzzing with excitement for his wedding to Lisa Thompson, the bright-eyed teacher who had brought color into his gray world. He ran a greasy hand through his hair, the weight of the moment pressing down on him like an anvil. Today marked the merging of two worlds, a mechanic in love with a woman shaped by privilege. But as the clock ticked down, he felt a storm brewing inside him, a turbulence of doubt and unease. "Jake, you okay?" He turned to see Mike, his best friend and best man. There was genuine concern in Mike's eyes, and Jake forced a smile. "Yeah, just wedding day jitters, you know?" But that wasn't it. A rumor he heard earlier had rattled him to the core. Lisa's father, Mr. Thompson, a figure everyone looked up to, was allegedly involved in shady dealings that devastated countless families in Willow Creek, including Jake's own. The thought twisted like a knife in his gut. As the wedding drew nearer, Jake felt the exhilaration of love battling the shadows of his past. Everyone had been gushing about the perfect couple, the charming teacher marrying the humble mechanic, but no one knew the doubts lurking behind his smile. He loved Lisa, but how could he build a life with her when her family loomed over him like a dark cloud? He could feel the whispers surrounding him. "Did you hear about Thompson's past?" That phrase echoed in his head on repeat. Every time someone smiled at him with that kind of pitying admiration only those in small towns could muster. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the musty church basement, he overheard Lisa speaking passionately to her mother. "Dad, I senti guilty. It's all lies." Her voice trembled with conviction and pride, a spark of loyalty that stung Jake's heart. It created a chasm. He could feel it widening with every fervent word. Her innocence slammed against his painful truths, igniting a fierce conflict. Did his love for her outweigh the imperative of revealing her father's alleged sins? As he held back tears, he realized he had a choice to make. Protect his family's honor or shield Lisa from the darkness of her father's reputation. The waiting grew unbearable as he paced, his mind racing. He desperately weighed the consequences of every option. The wedding's sparkling decor blurred before his eyes, a stark contrast to his chaotic thoughts. Right outside the basement door, friends and family gathered, ready to witness the celebration of a union that felt increasingly fragile. As the music began to swell, Jake stood at a crossroads. Would he confront Mr. Thompson, exposing a truth that could shatter their dreams, or would he remain silent, tethered by love yet haunted by past injustices? Deep inside, Jake knew everything hung in the balance. Would love triumph over truth, or was this the beginning of the end? Jake's heart raced as the distant chords of the wedding march floated down into the basement like heavy perfume. Each note seemed to whisper of hope and joy, yet he felt as if he were drowning in a sea of uncertainty. The connection between him and Lisa, so pure and bright, now felt tainted by shadows he couldn't ignore. "Hey man, seriously, are you good?" Mike interrupted his spiraling thoughts, stepping closer. Jake could see the worry etched on his friend's face, that ever-familiar concern. The burden of his silence tightened around his chest like a vice. "I don't know. Mike, what if I'm not good enough for her? What if I bring her down with me?" Mike frowned, clearly taken aback. "Dude, you love her. Isn't that all that matters?" Jake shook his head. "It's not that simple. Her dad, if he's really a bad guy, then you tell her. Man, you owe her the truth," Mike insisted, his voice low but firm. The intensity of their conversation sent a tremor through Jake. Just then, Lisa's laughter floated through the door, wrapping around him like a mother's embrace, comforting yet painful. That melodious sound was everything he'd ever wanted, and it paralyzed him. How could he ruin her day? How could he turn her world upside down? Mike, if I tell her, what then? I'll become the villain. I'll ruin everything. Jake whispered, panic seeping into his tone. You're not the villain for wanting to protect her, Mike replied softly. You have to think long-term. What if it comes out later? She deserves to know. The fear crept in again, wrapping cold fingers around Jake's resolve. The idea of losing Lisa was more than just an emotional blow. It would shatter the very foundation he'd spent years building. Swallowing hard, he tried to shake off the feeling. I just can't break her heart, Jake, his friend said, placing a steadying hand on his shoulder. You're not breaking her heart by telling the truth. You're preparing her for it. As the lively chatter above grew louder, Jake began to feel the consciousness of the world pushing in on him. He could picture Lisa standing at the altar, radiant and hopeful. He could almost see the happiness in her eyes, the love she had for him. If he chose silence today, what would happen when the truth inevitably came to light? Would she ever forgive him? His thoughts tangled even more, each vision of Lisa's smile twisting into another scene of heartbreak. He closed his eyes, desperately searching for clarity amidst the chaos. In that moment of stillness, he heard a voice, a small part of him that whispered, sometimes love means facing the hardest truths. I need to talk to her, he said suddenly, breaking the silence. Mike blinked, surprised at the shift in Jake's determination. I need to at least try to tell her. Before the wedding, before it's too late. With a shaky breath, Jake stepped toward the door, Mike close behind. He paused, heart hammering, and suddenly overwhelmed by the weight of his choice. It was almost too much to bear. But just as he reached for the door handle, a new wave of voices drifted beneath the floorboards, distinct and urgent. Jake's heart sank as he recognized one of the voices, the powerful and commanding timbre of Mr. Thompson himself. Lisa, the father's voice boomed. We have a situation. In that moment, a chilling realization hit him harder than any truth he feared to reveal. What had he gotten himself into? With a shared glance of alarm, Mike and Jake pushed the door open. As they stepped out into the light of the wedding festivities, the truth of this family drama surged back like a tidal wave about to crash down. Today was supposed to be a celebration, Jake thought, heart pounding louder than before. But now it felt like the beginning of something much more complicated. What would he discover once the ceremony began? Would he be able to protect Lisa from the mysteries lurking just beneath the surface? All he knew was there was no turning back now. As Jake and Mike stepped into the bright, bustling atmosphere of the wedding, the contrast to the dim basement felt like stepping into a different world. The air was thick with anticipation, laughter, and the intoxicating scent of blooming roses. Yet all Jake could feel was the weight of uncertainty pressing on his chest. Guests swarmed the hall, their conversations bubbling over like champagne. Laughter erupted from a table near the center where Lisa's friends were gathered, their dresses fluttering like bright flags of celebration. But in that moment, Jake could only see one person, Lisa. She stood by the floral arch, radiant in her wedding gown that caught the light beautifully, making her glow. Her smile, bright and infectious, cut through Jake's apprehension for just a heartbeat. But then, Mr. Thompson's voice sliced through the festivities, deeper and more potent, sending a ripple of anxiety through Jake. Lisa, we need to speak. Now. Jake's heart raced again. The urgency in Mr. Thompson's voice, laced with a hint of anger, sent chills through him. Mike's hand tightened on Jake's shoulder. Let us move closer, he urged quietly. They edged toward the commotion, trying to remain inconspicuous while tension crackled in the air. Jake's stomach twisted. What could be so wrong just moments before the ceremony? As Jake approached, he caught snippets of the conversation between Lisa and her father. You can't just ignore this, Lisa. There's no way we're proceeding with this wedding under these circumstances. Dad, what are you talking about? Lisa's voice wavered slightly but held firm resolve. Jake could see the confusion mingled with indignation in her brows. Mr. Thompson leaned closer, his face taut. It's not just your happiness at stake here. This family, it's a mess. You deserve to know the truth about Jake. The ground felt like it was shifting beneath Jake. The words settled like stones in his stomach. He had wanted to be there for Lisa, to protect her, but now it seemed as if the storm he feared was crashing down around them. "Dad, stop," Lisa protested, a flash of hurt in her eyes as she looked toward Jake, who felt pinned beneath her gaze. "Jake is not part of this whatever it is you think. He's my love. I trust him." The support in Lisa's voice ignited a flicker of hope within Jake, but it flickered out when he remembered what Mr. Thompson might reveal. The hesitation in him, all the doubts he kept buried, rose up hot and strong. He felt the need to step forward, to quell the brewing chaos and protect her. But how could he step in without disclosing the very secrets that threatened the very foundation of their relationship? "Lisa," Jake said, moving closer. His voice was steady, though every ounce of courage felt like it was slipping. "I think it's time we both know the truth." Everyone turned their heads toward him. A moment of silence fell like a curtain. "Don't say anything, Jake," Mike murmured, worry clouding his expression. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Instead, he felt the warmth of Lisa's hand reach for his, grounding him in the whirlwind of uncertainty. "What are you talking about? You Lisa?" Mr. Thompson's voice thundered again, cutting through their moment. "You need to understand the truth about what he is hiding. If you love him, you deserve to hear it now before it's too late." Jake felt paralyzed, engulfed by the heat of expectation and fear. How could he let her down? How had everything turned so chaotic so quickly? "Is it true, Jake? What is he talking about?" Lisa asked, looking back and forth between her father and him, confusion clouding her delicate features. Jake's heart raced, and he realized he couldn't lie anymore. But as he opened his mouth to finally reveal the truth, the doors burst open, and a courier rushed in. All heads turned with sharp curiosity. "Mr. Thompson," the man shouted, breathless. "There's been an incident." Jake exchanged a worried glance with Mike, the weight of the moment turning sharp and dangerous. He could feel the day hanging by a thread, the delicate balance of love and truth, teetering at the brink. What incident could shatter this day further? Would it expose the hidden truths he dreaded? In that moment, Jake knew that truth was more than just a burden. It was a ticking time bomb, and the countdown had begun. The tension in the air shifted, electric and thick. The crowd buzzed with murmurs, their eyes darting between Mr. Thompson and the courier who had just broken into the moment like a lightning flash on a clear day. "An incident?" Mr. Thompson repeated incredulously. "What kind of incident?" The courier took a deep breath, his expression a mix of urgency and dread. It's about the family. Something has come to light. You need to know." Lisa's grip on Jake tightened, her eyes wide with fear. "What's going on? What has happened?" "Lisa," Mr. Thompson said, his voice dropping to a low and protective tone. "Stay back. This isn't something you should hear." But Lisa wouldn't budge. "I want to know. All of us deserve to know." Jake felt her anxiety pulse through his hand, a reminder of how much strength was at stake. His heart raced again, this time fueled by a mixture of worry and determination. He couldn't back down. Not now, not when everything was spiraling. "Mr. Thompson," Jake called out, his voice breaking through the tension. "Whatever it is, it can't be worse than this silence. Just tell us." Everyone turned to him, a collective gasp rippling through the guests. The anticipation hung heavily, as though every searchlight in the grand hall flickered in agreement. Mr. Thompson hesitated. His resolve melted for the briefest moment, revealing a glimpse of the father who just wanted to protect his daughter. "There are things about our family, about Jake's family, that you don't know, Lisa. It's complicated. Maybe complicated is just what we need right now," Jake said, feeling the voice of bravery rise within him. He turned to Lisa, grounding himself in her presence. "Whatever it is, we can face it together. You deserve the truth." "Jake," she murmured, her expression torn. But he saw the warmth of trust lingering in her gaze, that flicker of faith that gave him the courage to go on. "Tell her," Jake urged Mr. Thompson. "If we don't face this together, how can we ever move forward?" The silence stretched, and Jake could hear the beating of his own heart, loud against the backdrop of the crowd's anticipation. Mr. Thompson sighed, a deep and weary breath. There's a reason you've never met Jake's family, he said, his voice quieter now, heavy with palpable emotion. A long time ago they made mistakes. Mistakes that have put lies and secrets between families. Lisa looked between them, her brow knitting in confusion. What do you mean? Before Jake could answer, the courier shifted uneasily, almost as if he didn't want another word to slip out. But the wheels were now in motion, and there was no stopping them. The police called earlier, he interjected, glancing at Mr. Thompson. It's about Jake's brother and a crime he committed. The room buzzed with whispers, gasps of disbelief mixing with the fragrance of roses. Lisa's grip on Jake loosened, her eyes flickering between betrayal and concern. Oh my God, Jake! Jake felt the world tilt. The truth, like a rock dropped into water, sent ripples through his life, threatening to drown everything he held dear. I can explain, he stammered, but the words felt stuck in his throat. Lisa stepped back, shaking her head. You can't just drop this on me. How much do I really know about you? There was shock in her voice, hurt blooming in her expression as if he slapped her. The moment came crashing down around them, love teetering precariously on the edge of revelation. In that fragmented silence, every guest held their breath, their eyes glued to the unfolding drama. Lisa, please. Jake's heart screamed for connection. I never. Before he could finish, another courier burst through the doors, desperation in his eyes. There's more. Jake felt the old fear creep back in, suffocating and cold. He wanted to run, to hide. But this was his moment to fight. What more could there possibly be? Jake demanded, pushing forward as the room held its breath. And in that heavy moment, with secrets swirling like smoke, he realized that the path ahead might shatter everything or forge an unbreakable bond. Could the love they had survive this fallout? Would revealing the past strengthen their future, or tear them apart forever? As each heartbeat echoed in the charged room, Jake understood. The truth was now unavoidable. The new courier took a step forward, his face pale and drawn. Please, you all need to understand. This isn't just about Jake's brother. It's much bigger than that. A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. The tension hung like a thick fog, suffocating and strange. Jake's heart pounded in his chest, a wild drumbeat against the backdrop of whispers. He turned to Mr. Thompson, searching for answers, for any explanation that would make sense of this chaos. Bigger? Mr. Thompson echoed, pushing through his own disbelief. What do you mean? The crimes, they're connected, all of them, the courier continued, his voice rising with urgency. But the police, they believe that Jake's family is tied to something darker. Something that has impacts beyond just legal issues. Jake felt a chill creep down his spine. His brother had made choices that rippled through their lives. But what did this mean? How had they been pulled into something more sinister? The crowd's eyes felt like daggers, each gaze an accusation, each whisper a testament to a truth he had never wanted to confront. Lisa stood still, the color draining from her face. Her trust in him seemed to hang by a thread. Jake, what did you mean when you said you wanted to face this together? How can we face something we don't even understand? He swallowed hard, struggling to gather the pieces of his racing mind. I may not have all the answers, but I can tell you about my brother, about why we left, how I wanted nothing but to escape the life they chose. Escape? Lisa's voice cracked, and he could hear the confusion mixed with hurt. You're telling me this is why you've been so secretive? Because of your brother? It's not just my brother, Jake replied, desperation pouring from every word. It's our family. We were caught in a web of deceit, and I thought I was protecting you by keeping you away from it. But there was no comfort in his explanation. Lisa stepped back again, shaking her head as tears began to form in her eyes. If this is who you are, then how can I trust you? How can I believe that you aren't just running from the truth? Because I care for you, Jake shouted, his voice breaking. I want to build a life with you, not hide it in shadows. Before her reply could settle in the silence, the new courier interjected, shaking himself out of the shock. There's urgency. The police are investigating not just your brother, Jake, but also your mother. They're looking for answers that may expose more than just family skeletons. They think she may have been involved in his actions. It's a story that's only beginning to unfold. Shock twisted in Jake's gut. His mother? How could she be part of this? No, she has nothing to do with it. I swear don't make promises you can't keep, Lisa cried, voice trembling. I need to know where I stand, Jake. Are you going to keep running from the truth? Or are you going to face it? I can't be with someone who isn't honest about their life. Jake's chest tightened, feeling more lost than ever. I don't know how to make you understand what I'm feeling, but I want to fight for us. I need you by my side as we dig into this together. The murmurs of the onlookers rose again, filling the room with an unease that prickled the air. There was an unspoken weight to every gaze that felt disapproving, echoing his fears. Jake's every instinct told him to hold on to Lisa, to convince her they could brave this storm. Will you stay? He asked, taking a step toward her, his heart begging for a connection. Lisa hesitated, the battle between trust and hurt reflected in her eyes. I don't know, Jake. Everything feels so uncertain. Suddenly, the tension shifted again as Mr. Thompson's voice broke through the chaos. You all need to pay attention. The longer we wait, but before he could finish, the courier interrupted. The police are not just interested in Jake's brother anymore. They might be closing in on your family as well, Jake. And I have a feeling they want to be the only ones looking for answers. The words hung heavily in the air, swirling around Jake like a tempest. The stakes were higher than he had imagined. In that moment, surrounded by betrayal and concern, he knew that to face the truth would reshape everything. Maybe some bonds would strengthen, while others would shatter. Could they unite in the face of the looming storm, or would the shadows of the past pull them apart? As the crowd's murmurs grew louder, Jake faced an impossible choice. He had to act quickly before it was too late. Jake felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him, like a storm cloud ready to burst. He glanced around the room, searching for anything familiar in the sea of darting eyes. Had everyone really come to this gathering, just to witness the unraveling of his family? How had it come to this? Jake, we need to figure this out. Mr. Thompson's voice cut through the noise, steady and firm. It was a lifeline of sorts, grounding in a moment that felt like it was spinning out of control. I know this is overwhelming, but you must understand the gravity of the situation. If they suspect your mother, this goes beyond family drama. Could ruin everything. Jake clenched his fists, suppressing the bile rising in his throat. The thought of his mother facing scrutiny, of her name being dragged through mud, he couldn't accept it. I don't care what they're saying. She is innocent. We can't let this lie take hold. We need to confront it. But how? Lisa stepped closer, her brow knitted with worry. What will confronting it do, Jake? Will it save your family? Or will it just throw you deeper into the abyss? Her words sliced through him. He wished he could answer her with certainty, but uncertainty was the only thing he felt. I don't know, he admitted, his voice low. But I can't run anymore. Not from you, not from them, not from the truth. The murmurs shifted again, rising and falling like the tide, their unyielding eyes drilling into him. It felt like a weight of judgment and fear pressing against his skin. The air was electric with tension, heavy with fear and desperate hope. Maybe we can get ahead of this? Mr. Thompson suggested, his eyes glinting with a plan. If we can figure out what your brother was involved in, we might understand how to help your mother. The police won't see her as a suspect if we can provide proof of her innocence. Jake nodded, that flicker of determination igniting within him. But where do we start? Start by reaching out to friends, contacts, anyone who could shed light on your brother's dealings. If he is involved in something larger, we need to know how deep it goes, Mr. Thompson instructed. Lisa took a deep breath, steeling herself to stay in the fight. Then let us do this together. I'll help you look through old documents, anything that might lead us to the truth. Jake stared at her, gratitude flooding his chest. She was willing to work alongside him despite the uncertainty. Thank you, Lisa. I don't deserve your trust right now, but it means everything. Let us just make sure this isn't another secret, she replied, a hint of skepticism lingering in her tone. "We're in this together, right? No more hiding things. Deal?" "Deal," he replied, sealing the promise with a nod. Each passing second seemed to stretch into eternity as they huddled together, pooling their uncertainty into determination. Jake could feel the heat of Lisa's presence, grounding him with a new sense of purpose. They would navigate this storm, side by side. But before they could move forward, a loud crash echoed from the entrance. The chatter faded into shocked silence. A figure stepped into the room, eyes scanning for familiar faces, their very presence marking the air with menace. "I hear there's trouble brewing," the newcomer called out with a sly grin, making his way toward Jake and the others. Heart racing, Jake's instincts screamed at him. Who was this intruder? And more importantly, what did he know about his brother and the dark web they were tangled in? The ground felt shaky under Jake's feet, uncertainty clawing at him yet again. But there was no turning back now. As the figure approached, a chilling realization washed over Jake. This stranger could hold the key to everything he had been searching for. Or, just as easily, he could plunge them deeper into the chaos threatening to consume them all. The figure stepped closer, confidence radiating from him like a heat wave. Jake squinted, trying to discern any familiarity in the stranger's sharp features. The man's eyes locked onto Jake's, a predatory glint in them that rose a lump in Jake's throat. "Who are you?" Jake managed to squeeze out, his voice carrying an edge of defiance. The stranger chuckled, a low, menacing sound that cut through the tension in the room. "Names aren't as important as what I know, wouldn't you agree? I'm just a friend or maybe a protector. It depends on how you play your cards." Sweat trickled down Jake's back. "What do you know about my brother?" The words felt heavy, like stones tossed into a pond, sending ripples of dread coursing through his veins. "Oh, quite a bit, actually," the stranger replied, his smile widening, the contours of his mouth twisting in a way that made Jake's skin crawl. "You think you can just dig into family secrets without knowing who you're dealing with? It just gets messy, kid." Lisa moved in closer, eyes narrowed. "What do you want?" The stranger turned his attention to her, his gaze flickering with interest. "What I want? That simple information. You're floundering in a dark pool of lies, and I have the lifeline you need." "Enough with the cryptic nonsense." Mr. Thompson stepped forward, protective and unyielding. "If you're here to intimidate, you've picked the wrong crowd." The stranger waved his hand dismissively, but there was a deliberate constraint in his gaze as he sized up Mr. Thompson. "Intimidation isn't my style. I'm offering a deal. Information for information. You know things about Jake's brother, don't you? You must, or you wouldn't have come here to confront the chaos. Let us just say, I'm interested in the same truths you are." Jake's heart raced. This could be the break he needed. But at what cost? "What truths are you talking about?" He was hesitant, a thousand scenarios running through his mind. This was not just about his family anymore, it was an intricate web where every choice could lead to deeper entanglement. Risks loomed large, and Jake wasn't sure if he was ready to gamble with his family's safety. The stranger leaned in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Let us just say that your brother was involved in things far beyond what you can imagine. Dangerous, powerful people want him, and now they're looking at your family, too." Jake felt the ground beneath him shift. It was one thing to chase whispers, but this was a revelation that held the potential to shatter everything. "Why should we trust you?" Lisa questioned, arms crossed defiantly. "Trust? That's for you to decide," the stranger replied, a sly smile creeping across his face. "But make no mistake, the truth is like a knife. Cuts deep, but it also frees you from chains." Without waiting for a response, he turned away, glancing over his shoulder. "You've got 24 hours. Decide what you want to do with this knowledge before it's too late." As he exited the room, the atmosphere changed. It felt electrified and heavy all at once. Lisa's voice felt distant, laced with an undeniable worry. "What just happened?" "I don't know," Jake admitted, still fixed on the door where the figure had vanished. "But we have to find out what he knows. We can't let this go." The weight of uncertainty pressed upon him more than ever. How could they unravel the truth without becoming ensnared in something they couldn't control? Jake, we may be in over our heads, Mr. Thompson warned, his voice a low rumble. But if your brother's in deep, we need a plan. Fast. Jake glanced at Lisa and then back at Mr. Thompson. The pieces were there, shimmering in the chaos. He felt a surge of resolve as he took a deep breath. They had to forge ahead, despite the storm. But as he turned to face Lisa, fear crept back in. Could the truth really set them free? Or would it sever the last threads of safety they clung to? Let us gather everything we can, he urged. The clock's ticking. Their mission was clear, but the ominous shadow of the stranger lurked behind them, a constant reminder. That danger was close, and the truth might cost them far more than they ever anticipated. And just as Jake braced himself for the fight ahead, a chilling thought settled in the back of his mind. What if the stranger wasn't lying? What if the truth was darker than he could ever have imagined? The following morning came with a heavy fog that wrapped around the town like a thick quilt, stifling sounds and muffling the light. Jake couldn't shake the encounter from his mind. Every word the stranger had uttered echoed through his thoughts, blending with his fears and doubts. Jake! Lisa's voice jolted him from his thoughts. She stood in the doorway, her hair disheveled and worry etched on her face. We need to talk. He nodded, following her into the kitchen. The smell of burnt toast hung in the air, a reminder of both distraction and chaos. What did you find? His pulse quickened like a drum in his chest. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed tightly, as if trying to shield herself from her own anxiety. I contacted a few friends, people who might know about, your brother's issues. Jake swallowed hard. He wasn't ready for this. And it's worse than we thought. There are rumors about debts, about who he's been hanging out with. Dangerous people, Jake. People who don't just threaten you with a nasty note. Her voice trembled slightly, a crack in her composure. His thoughts spiraled further. What do you mean? Some say he's tangled with a gang the police are terrified of dealing with. They don't just hunt down people who owe them money. They make examples of them, of their families. Fear snaked through Jake's veins, turning his limbs cold. The potential ramifications weren't just confined to his brother anymore. So, this was why that guy came looking for us. He's tied in somehow. Maybe he knows more than we do about what your brother could be facing, Lisa replied. But we need to figure out how involved he really is. We have less than a day to see if we can save him. Just then, Mr. Thompson entered, his heavy footsteps a stark contrast to the tense air. What's the latest? His gaze flickered between them, sensing the gravity of the situation. Jake's brother, he's in deeper than we thought, Lisa said. There's something more dangerous at play. Mr. Thompson's face hardened. Then we need to act fast. Do you have a plan? Jake could feel the pressure rising in his chest. I don't know. We need to gather more information. But how? Maybe it's time we see that stranger again, Lisa suggested, her voice steadier now, emboldened by purpose. If he has the answers, we'll have to face him. Jake stared at her, his heart racing. That option scared him more than anything. But the pull of truth was relentless. And what if he turns on us? What if he's with them? We don't have much choice, do we? Mr. Thompson added, stepping closer. Your brother's safety is paramount. We can't let fear control us. They huddled together, voices low but firm, planning their next move. The idea of confronting the stranger loomed large, particularly since they had no idea what they were stepping into. With every passing minute, though, the urgency mounted, mixing with dread. Each heartbeat was a countdown, a reminder that time was slipping away rapidly. As they explored their options, Jake felt a paradox churning inside him. Hope and fear rooted themselves together, each battling for dominance. Do we even know where to find him? Jake finally asked, met only with silence. The doorbell broke the tension, jangling through the air like an alarm. All eyes darted to the front door, uncertainty crackling amongst them. It might be him, Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake took a deep breath, every instinct screaming to hesitate, but he pushed through. We can't run from this. Let's see who it is. The moment stretched like a taut wire until finally, he walked towards the door, each step heavy with the weight of potential outcomes. With one steadying exhale, he reached for the handle, prying open the door to face whatever dangerous truth awaited him on the other side. And just as the door swung wide, the thought struck him: was he prepared for what he might learn next? The door creaked open, revealing the stranger from the previous night. His features were obscured by the fog, his face half hidden in shadow. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Lisa stepped closer, her eyes narrowed as she gauged the man's expression. "What do you want?" Jake managed, his voice steadier than he felt. "I've come to talk," the stranger said, his tone cool and composed. "I think you might want to hear what I have to say." Jake shifted on his feet, unsure whether to let him in or slam the door shut. Every instinct warned him against trusting this man. Still, the fire in his heart pushed him forward. "We don't have time for games," he replied, glancing at Lisa and Mr. Thompson for support. "If you really care about your brother," the stranger continued, "you'll let me in." That sentiment hung heavy in the air. Jake's shoulders tightened, and he looked into the stranger's eyes. They were sharp, assessing, as if he could see straight through to Jake's very soul. Without fully knowing why, Jake stepped aside, allowing the man to enter. Once inside, the fog seemed to cling to the edges of the room, amplifying the tension. "Who are you?" Lisa asked, a mix of curiosity and contempt lacing her words. "Call me Sam," he replied, taking a seat at the kitchen table, leaning back leisurely as though he were in a cafe rather than the war room of someone's worst nightmare. "I know about your brother. I know more than you think." Jake clenched his fists, desperation tinging his voice. "Then tell us what we need to do." Sam studied Jake for a moment before he spoke. "Your brother owes money, a lot of it. And those he owes, they don't mess around. He has less than 24 hours before they come looking for him." The clock on the wall ticked ominously, and each second felt stretched thin. "How do you know this?" Jake demanded, trying to suppress the panic rising in his chest. "I might not be a part of that world, but I know a thing or two about it," Sam replied. "Let's just say I've done my research. I saw your brother with them, and I've been keeping an eye on the situation. But your brother needs to face this head-on." A silence fell, filled only by the clock that felt like it was mocking them. "No, he can't handle this alone. He is scared," Jake said, his voice cracking slightly. The stranger leaned forward, intensity blazing in his gaze. "Fear isn't the problem. It's what people do with it. I can help, but you need to trust me." "Why should we trust you?" Lisa challenged, her fierce demeanor not shifting. "Because the alternative is worse," Sam replied, his voice steady. "You can protect him or watch him get swallowed by all of this. Right now, he is lost. But he can have a chance if you let me guide you both." Jake exchanged glances with Lisa and Mr. Thompson, uncertainty flooding his thoughts. 1,000 questions brewed, but there was a spark of hope glimmering alongside the fear. "Fine," Jake said finally, the decision heavy on his shoulders. "What do we need to do?" Sam's lips curled into a small, knowing smile. "First, we need to find your brother. Then we confront the people who've gotten him involved in this mess. And you might want to be ready for a fight." With those words hanging in the air, the stakes had never felt higher. Jake could almost feel the tension stretching around them like the fog outside. What lay ahead was cloaked in uncertainty as Sam laid out a plan. Jake's heart raced. Questions spun through his mind. Was he prepared for the dangers ahead? For the confrontation that awaited? Would he be able to save his brother? Or would it mean stepping into darkness he wasn't ready to confront? And as the plan unfolded, an uneasy thought settled in his mind. If there was a way to save his brother, what would he have to sacrifice to do it? Jake stood at the threshold of his life, the wild echoes of uncertainty dancing around him like gusts of wind. The fog had lifted, revealing a crisp morning, but Jake felt a storm's weight in his heart. With the stakes so high and the clock ticking down, the world felt impossibly large, yet so achingly small. He could almost hear the countdown, the whisper of danger in every breath. "Let us move," Sam urged, slicing through the thick tension with purpose. His demeanor suggested a confidence that Jake desperately needed. Time isn't on your side. As they piled into the car, Lisa, Mr. Thompson, and Sam Jake could barely breathe, each heartbeat pulsing with both fear and determination. Outside, the town of Willow Creek blurred by, yet he focused on the mission ahead. He needed to find his brother, but could they reach him in time? Would they be able to face whatever darkness awaited them? We need to start at the old garage, Sam explained, his voice clear and steady. That's where your brother used to hang out. If he's in trouble, someone there will know. The words hung heavy in the car, amplifying the urgency. Lisa's hand found Jake's, a small gesture that poured warmth and strength into his veins. He turned to her, searching her eyes. We'll get through this. We're doing this together, he said, feeling the swell of hope mix with his fear. Together, Lisa echoed, and suddenly, the fog didn't feel so suffocating. Once they arrived at the garage, the sight of the faded paint and weathered signs sent a pang of nostalgia through Jake. Memories of laughter and weekends spent tinkering with engines hitched in his gut. But as they stepped inside, reality surged back. The atmosphere was thick with tension, the usual hum of activity absent. A few heads turned, their expressions a mix of curiosity and discomfort. Where's Nate? Jake called out, desperation edging his voice. A collection of rough-looking men exchanged glances, uncertain. Finally, one stepped forward, eyes filled with a mix of trepidation and warmth. He's been in bad trouble, man. You didn't hear? No, Jake replied, his heart racing. What's happening? We need to find him. The man shrugged. They were asking about him last night, looking for payouts. Word is he owes them more than just cash. Fear stabbed at Jake's heart, but it fought against the resolve swelling within him. Where can we find him? Last I heard, he might be at the old docks, the man said hesitantly. But it's not safe there. They don't appreciate uninvited guests. We're risking everything for him, Lisa remarked, unwavering. Jake felt her courage bolster him as she squeezed his hand tightly. They hurried out, the adrenaline sharpening their senses. On the way, Sam turned to them both. Here's the deal, whatever happens at the docks, you need to stick together. Don't let fear drive you apart. Understood. Jake nodded, his conviction solidifying. Each moment twisted the stakes higher. Now a matter of love, family, and raw determination. When they arrived at the docks, a foreboding sense washed over them. Shadows loomed. Mingling discomfort and dread threats danced in the corners of his mind. Stick close, he instructed, voices low as they approached the shack beneath the flickering lanterns. Jake! A voice pierced through the stillness, and his brother Nate stumbled out from the shadows, visibly shaken. Nate! Jake called, relief and worry intertwining. You have to come with us. They're looking for you. Nah, man, I can't go, Nate replied, his eyes darting. You don't understand. They'll come after you too. We can face this together. Lisa interjected, stepping beside Jake. We're not leaving you behind. Jake took a step closer, heart hammering. We're your family. We faced everything together. We can do this. But before they could persuade Nate further, a group of men appeared at the other end of the dock. Heart-pounding, Jake took in their malicious glares. You don't want to be here. One of them called, the sneer evident in his voice. This can go a couple of ways. Hand over the money or we handle it our way. Jake felt, his muscles tense, instinctively placing himself in front of Lisa. Not today, he shouted, voice firm though fear coursed through him. This doesn't have to end badly. Sam added, his voice laced with authority. We can figure this out. Talking's not how this works, one of the thugs snarled, advancing menacingly. Jake, we can't. Nate stammered, panic glazing his eyes as his voice wavered. I don't want to put you all in danger. Stop, Jake yelled, desperation infusing his words with passion. You think hiding will keep us safe? This is our fight. For a heartbeat, silence coated the air. As the mob advanced, Jake felt the chill of adrenaline surge through him, a fire igniting, raw and fierce, urging him to protect his family. Whatever it takes. He shouted, hand outstretched toward the oncoming threat. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the dark, a siren, piercing and demanding. The police lights flickered on the horizon, pulsing like a heartbeat against the darkness. The thugs hesitated, glancing at each other, panic flickering in their eyes. "Run!" one of them yelled, and in an instant, they scattered like leaves in the wind. Jake turned back to Nate, relief flooding his chest. "We're safe. We did it." Nate's eyes glistened with tears, a mixture of gratitude and guilt. "I am so sorry, Jake. I was scared." "Fear can't rule us," Jake replied, embracing him tightly. "But together we can fight anything." As the police arrived and began assessing the chaotic scene, Jake felt Lisa's hand find his again, stronger than ever. They were a family, reunited and standing tall amidst the wreckage. The road ahead would be tough, filled with truths that could upend and reshape their lives. But one thing was clear: their love had risen above the shadows, forging a connection that no darkness could ever sever. As Jake clutched Lisa's hand tightly, he knew they would confront every storm together. The journey was just beginning, but with family and love by his side, he finally felt ready for the fight ahead. If you enjoyed this transformative journey, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support really matters. Comment your thoughts and feelings about the ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. Thank you for being a part of our amazing community.